this event or ceremony. And the song we'll open it with belongs to the Laanas. The fly is here today. It is fitting because the translation is, she reached into the water and pulled up her breastplate.
Hello there, I'm Jennifer Rice, your MC for today. And to start us off, I'm going to invite Gideon Judd, Erica Reed for a prayer.
We can bring ourselves together. Saltlana gunang eat Haidagas, ahayat singai skaudagi, dangat along kiltlaga. Haida tlgai eiskuchang tul tldagang gaida. Haida tlgai eiskuchang gan yahku dangai wagi kilhi ganga. Wagan asing Haida gutgan yahku dangai wagi kilhi ganga. Satlana gunang eat Haidagas, tulgai aisku hung ngaistalyai, gyut alang kiananga. Asi wadluchan skaudagi dangat alang kiltlaga. Creator, we give thanks for today. People spoil the world of native land. All people must learn respect for the land. Again, we ask that all people must learn to respect each other. Creator, we ask that you heal the land, the whole world, and all of its people. For all of this, we say thank you. Hawa.
Hawa. Thank you to everyone attending here today, including many First Nations and leaders who have made it here. Thank you to Gideon Judd for that lovely prayer. I'm Jennifer Rice, the MLA for North Coast. I represent numerous First Nations, the vast majority of the Great Bear Rainforest, including Haida Gwaii. I'm also BC's Parliamentary Secretary for Rural Health. I'm speaking to you today from Lekwungen territories, the Songhees and Esquimalt nations. I'd like to acknowledge my fellow speakers that are here today. Minister Murray Rankin, the Minister of Indigenous Relations and Reconciliation, Gaagwiis, Jason Alsop, the President of the Haida Nation, Hereditary Chief Stihlda, Frank Collison, Council of the Haida Nation, and elected Representative Laanas, Tamara Davidson from the Council of the Haida Nation, both of which are part of the Haida Recognition of Title team who have traveled here today. We have gathered here happily to announce the third and final reading of the Haida Nation Recognition Act. The legislation is a significant and an important step needed to enact Gaagwiis Daya, Changing Tide framework for reconciliation reached in August of 2021. This bill is paramount moving reconciliation forward. We have taken the final vote in the House to adopt the legislation. I'm going to turn it over now to Gaagwiis, the President of the Haida Nation, to offer his thoughts. I welcome Gaagwiis.
Awa Jennifer, Kilslaganga, Haida Loss, our chiefs, good people who've joined us here today, the media. It's a historic day to come together, the Haida Nation in the province of British Columbia, to celebrate the passing of the Haida Nation Recognition Act. As I tried to cover in my remarks, this has been the culmination of many, many, many years of leadership, of hereditary and elected leadership, and good people from the Haida Nation working together as one and continuing to push forward and push the change of systems, the change of people's minds and attitudes, and a patient persistence in that pursuit of being recognized as the government of the Haida Nation. Sometimes to us on Haida Gwaii, we're immersed in the work that we do and just living our lives. And we sometimes lose sight of what it means outside of Haida Gwaii and to the rest of British Columbia and Canada to have a government that our people created out of necessity from the grassroots to build up our own constitution that unites and brings together, again, our elected leadership of the Council of the Haida Nation, our hereditary chiefs, and our elected village councils to work together for the common cause of the betterment of the citizens, the people of the Haida Nation, to steward and look after our lands and waters, but also to serve, to strive to better the rights of Indigenous people everywhere. So it's humbling work to be, bestowed those governing powers of our inherent title holders, our chiefs, to be the speaker, the first speaker of the nation, to speak on behalf of all of our leadership and our citizens. And we don't take it lightly. We don't take lightly the work it takes to do a good job stewarding the lands and waters. And we recognize there is power and value in working together, not only internally amongst our nation, but with other governments, with the provincial government, our local municipal governments, our neighbors on Haida Gwaii, the federal government, and with other Indigenous nations and alliances that we've formed over many years. So, today is a day to celebrate and acknowledge the hard work of our ancestors and all who have come before us, and those who are within the House today who supported this work of the province and Minister Rankin and his leadership to carry on and see the trust and the vision of where we can go together. And it's it's a beautiful day to be here with you today to celebrate and lay the foundation for where we go next, and really have that solid foundation and clear recognition of our governance, our self-determination, and we continue to take the steps forward to, again, be able to uplift Haida title and rights and jurisdiction. And we recognize, again, it takes good people working together. Good at talong skong kolcha tolyafta. And it's not easy. It's not light work, but we're committed to the journey and the process of that hard work to figure these things out, to change the systems, to find the common grounds and find the path forward that creates the space to uplift Indigenous ways of being to the front. Always with looking after the land and the water at the forefront, and recognizing that if we look after our territories, our lands and water, they'll look after us as they have for thousands of years. And that we are in a perilous place as the planet, that we are facing challenges that perhaps we haven't faced as humanity, in terms of the effects of climate change and the other spin-offs of that impact all people. And so, again, bringing all of our skills and all of our jurisdictions and all of our experiences and perspectives and work together, we could do a better job of looking after things and creating better societies and better life for people on the ground. So I just want to say hello, everybody, for making the time to be with us here today, and to all of our Haida Nation delegation, our leadership, and Haida citizens who've joined us here this afternoon. I'm really grateful for you making the time to be with us here today. Hawa.
Thank you, Gaagwiis. I would now like to invite Laanas to the podium. Say a few words. We welcome your words, Laanas.
Hawa. Today, the provincial government enacted a piece of legislation called the Haida Recognition Act, just as our government enacted in 1974. Let me be clear, the authority and the power does not come from that piece of legislation. It comes from our Constitution that was built from the goodwill of our Haida people, our Kunisi. This change for this legislation does mean that when we go back to the negotiating table, we will be on equal footing in a true government-to-government relationship. This change also means that we can now weave our traditional leadership into our own government based on how we see fit, not under the BC Societies Act. Things are slowly changing, and it's not easy. And we need to rebuild based on mutual respect. And I'd like to thank you today for showing us that respect. I'm humbled to be on a team that has spent decades trying to get to this place where we are today. We've had countless Haida people working for us and working with our allies. I'm a proud citizen of the Haida Nation, and this is a step towards healing. This is a step towards reconciliation. I'm going to go back to the negotiating table with a renewed sense of focus and drive to negotiate based on this new recognition. Haida Gwaii are not crown lands. owned by a king a world away. They are and always will be Haida lands. And someday soon, I will get to stand in the old growth forests of Haida Gwaii and know that they will always be there for our future generations. Haua.
Thank you so much for your words, Laanas. I'd like to invite Hereditary Chief Stihlda to say a few words. If you wouldn't mind coming to the podium, please.
Oh, thank you. I'm very pleased to be part of this very historic day when we have come together and put our minds together to do a wonderful thing in signing an agreement that recognizes the two governments that we have. I want to thank the Premier and the members of the Legislative Assembly for taking part and being so cooperative and supportive. We are on a path of building recognition of a long-standing governance system that goes back many, many generations and many, many ages past. As I mentioned earlier, our homeland was surrounded by villages of Haidas who took care of certain areas around the whole of the islands. And they had their own way of governing themselves, doing their own procedures and protocols, and looking after how the village would develop and all that sort of thing. And yet there were times when they had to unite. Some situation may have come up and they had to bring all these warriors together to go on some sort of an expedition of some kind. And it seemed to work so well that they would gather 40 to 50 canoes and they would proceed as one. That's the spirit of the Haida Nation that we are trying to maintain and trying to recapture in some sense. And it has never left us. We have always heard the leaders of the past, and we can talk about 1913 when the McBride Commission came to the islands, and they thought they were going to survey it, and there's a few people around, but it didn't work out that way. The Haida leadership came forward and they repeated what was taught to them over many generations, that this is the homeland of the Haida. The homeland of the Haida is where the Haida looked after things, took care of things, developed a social system, developed a wonderful art, and reflected all those things in the art system that became so famous over the years. And those are the values that we are looking at today and trying to protect and trying to impart to other people around us. It has never been our intention to live in isolation. We welcome many people from many different backgrounds to our islands with similar goals in their lives, and it has worked well for us. So that's this basis of how we are prepared to proceed into the future to bring the next stage of our history to fruition. So if we continue in that way, then I believe that we will make a very positive move toward developing a very concrete, comprehensive system of agreements with other people around us. So we are very pleased to be here today and taking part in a very wonderful day. Hawa.
Thank you so much, Stihlda, for your words. I would like to now invite Murray Rankin, the BC Minister of Indigenous Relations and Reconciliation, to the podium.
Well, thank you very much, Jennifer. Thank you, Gaagwiis. Thank you, Laanas. Thank you, Stihlda. And thank you for the prayer. I want to thank Gidden Judd for her wonderful opening. Ladies and gentlemen, it's a special day today for the province of British Columbia because today we are part of history. I want to thank the members of the Haida Recognition of Taaydal team. I want to thank Haida citizens, the many of you who have come down from Haida Gwaii to be with us to witness this historic day. I'm really honored on behalf of British Columbia to be part of this important celebration. I think people will agree with me that today reflects the passion and the commitment of the Council of the Haida Nation in advancing our relationship. And we've just heard an eloquent summary from the hereditary and the elected leaders of the Haida Nation as to why that is the case. The Haida Recognition legislation we just passed a few moments ago in the House, I think is a critically important step for our relationship, British Columbia and Haida, and soon Canada. The legislation was passed every step of the way in partnership with Haida Nation. It's a result of a progressive approach to reconciliation. I think it shows the strength of our relationship and our ability to get things done together in a good way. So in August of 2021, we entered the Gaagwiis reconciliation framework, or the Changing Tide framework for reconciliation. We entered it with Canada and of course with the Council of the Haida Nation, and it was all about advancing our work on reconciliation. And legislation is a significant step along that path. I'm really grateful and thankful to Gaagwiis and the leadership for getting us to this point in time. It's not easy work. It's not easy, but we got it done. And it's something that I think will help us forge a better path together in the future. Because this legislation recognizes within provincial laws that Haida Nation has inherent rights of governance and self-determination. The Council of the Haida Nation is the government of Haida Nation. And the Haida Nation has over 40 years of experience operating a nation-level government. And it's done so through the Council of the Haida Nation. So the Council of the Haida Nation was formed almost 50 years ago, 1974. And the Haida Nation's constitution was enacted in 2003, 20 years ago. This is about the stability of a governance system that predates that, of course, but is reflected most recently in those significant things. And that is why the province of British Columbia and soon the government of Canada will recognize the reality that the Haida have known for generations and generations and generations. This law is about changing the entire legal framework of the Crown in recognizing what the Haida have long recognized. And as I said earlier, the federal government will soon pass enacting similar legislation. This is long overdue. And to quote Gaagwiis today, we're finally able to acknowledge each other and to begin work, government to government, with respect and integrity, as Laanas put it so eloquently. So for this opportunity, on behalf of the province of British Columbia, we're humbled and grateful to you. Thank you all for coming down, and thank you very much for this historic day.
Deep breath. Thank you, Minister. Thank you for your words. But I also just want to thank you for finishing the work that was, well, not finishing one component of the big work ahead that was started, as you mentioned, some time ago, a long time ago. CHN was formed when I was born in 1974. And as of today, I've been the MLA for North Coast, which includes Haida Gwaii, for 10 years. And so I just feel like this is so special for me to sort of celebrate my 10th anniversary. It amazes me that in 10 years it's taken us this long, but I'm just going to put that aside and enjoy the celebrations today and enjoy this moment and celebrate with the Haida Nation and many others. So I want to thank all of the speakers today as well. Thank you all for sharing your important words. And I will have to conclude this moment that I want to last forever. And I'll turn it over to the media relations team to sort of facilitate the questions part. So thank you so much, everyone, for being here today. Thank you for your work.
Thank you very much. A reminder to folks on the line, please press *1 for the opportunity to ask a question and a follow-up. Reporters here in the room, please come and see me behind the bank of cameras. I will have a microphone for you in the event that you have a question to ask. I'm just going to give it a second to make sure, see whether we have questions on the phone. Okay, it appears all questions have been answered, Minister.
Excellent. That's a good day.
Thank you very much.
Missy, thank you.
I've been asked to speak into the mic so people can hear. That was sort of shocking, but anyways. So before we enter into this final part of the ceremony, to ensure that people heard before the first song, we have Chief Gaagwiis in the room, and we sang Dal Justa Luyutachan, which is from his clan that he agreed to share. And it means to, she reached into the ocean and pulled up the thread of life. And it seems so fitting, given that we're going to move forward with such great life and commitment to each other. And now we'll conclude with Jifi Dansu and one of his songs. And part of the translation is to speak up about yourself so we can have a good time. And we've heard some beautiful words here today, and we can have a good time. So hawa dalang wadlukan. Okay, 2 more songs. The first one that we want to do is we want to acknowledge that yesterday, Gaagwiis, our president of the Haida Nation, celebrated 4 decades on this earth. So we're going to sing happy birthday to him in Haida. Kiga sing ay gudang la, kiga sing ay gudang la, kiga sing ay all to Gaagwiis, kiga sing ay gudang la. And we would be remiss if we did not sing our national anthem, then the national anthem of the Haida Nation.
Hey, hi-yo, ha-wee, 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 hey, hi-yo, ha-wee, 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 yo-ho-wee, yo-ho-wee, yo-wee, hey, hi-yo, ha-wee, 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 hey, hi-yo, ha-wee, 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 yo-ho-wee, yo-ho-wee, yo-wee, hey, hi-yo, ha-wee.